Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
Fearscape Media Network is your new home for everything weird and enlightening. Check out podcasts and YouTube shows covering content from discussions on horror films to the paranormal to meditation. Find out more at fearscapemedia.com.
Coming to you from nowhere, a suburb of parts unknown, your ghoulish hosts for an evening of terror, Stefan Gearhart and Lance Wayne, the Misters of the Dark.
Good evening, dear friends! Welcome to another terrifying episode of Misters of the Dark! Oh yeah! The greatest horror podcast in the history of horror podcasting! As always, we're beaming directly to you from nowhere, a suburb of parts unknown! Yes! I'm your head, Mr. Big Scary Lord Stefan Gearhart!
Hey, yo. I'm your co-mister, the blonde guy.
Yeah!
The man with no name, Lance Wayne.
And if you haven't already realized by now, we are all living in the M.O.D. era of podcasting. Yeah!
That's right, big man. Like it or not, we're taking over.
And this brings us to what you've all been waiting for. Everyone has been speculating for weeks on who is the mysterious third Mister.
So without further ado, help us in welcoming the only man in nowhere who could possibly sit down and help us sing the praises of the Undertaker. Horrorwood! BradZilla!
What up, BradZilla? Horrorwood, if you
And I'm not being metaphorical, he really brought snakes with him.
He did.
It's you know, everybody here in nowhere needs some kind of support animal, so I chose ball pythons.
Snakes on a motherfucking podcast.
Snakes on a motherfucking podcast.
That's what you get on the Misters.
Snakes.
Snakes. Well, I want to get things rolling because we have been wanting to talk about our Lord and Savior, Mark Calloway, for quite some time, a.k.a. the Undertaker,
a.k.a. Mean Mark Calloway.
That's right.
Wait. The Undertaker's real name is Mark Calloway?
Yeah, Mark William Calloway.
You didn't know that?
Huh. I just assumed his name was Mr. the Taker, and we just called him Undertaker.
No.
Yep, it's actually for Ulysses, and then Under is his middle name, Taker is his last name.
He's the biggest mark in wrestling.
Oh God!
That's why I'm here.
Lance, let me show you the mystical door you can step your ass on out of.
Yeah,
this is my show. Fuck off.
So
Anyway.
let me give you the brief rundown here on the Wikipedia for Mr. the Taker.
That's what I got too.
Mark William Calloway, born March 24th, 1965, is an American retired professional wrestler. I think it should say one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time.
Yeah,
he is best known for his career in WWE, WWF, from 1990 to 2020 under the ring name The Undertaker. And we can start with him beginning his career in 1987 or wherever you guys want to start. But that's kind of the man's 56. He looks like he's 75. So wrestling, it's good.
Oh, shut up. He looks good.
He was born in the 1800s.
Wrestling will fuck you up. I only did it for 10 years, and my knees feel like they're in their 50s.
I mean, I did it for a few months when I was like 12 in my backyard on a trampoline, and let me tell you, I got some battle scars.
I mean, imagine how Paul Bear's neck jubba felt after all those years. His neck jubba's gross.
Oh, his neck jubba. I was like, what the fuck?
My wife calls like loose skin neck jubba.
Neck jubba. I'm gonna write that down for future reference.
Yep. So all my dogs like fold his neck jubba.
Neck jubba.
And Paul Bear is the king of neck jubba.
That would be Paul Bear's finishing move. He just grabs you by your neck jubba and just shakes it.
Oh, for the love of God.
He wraps you up. He basically does the stink face, but with his neck jubba. Like he runs at you and stretches it and just wraps it around your face until you pass out.
And he always leaves like loose Cheeto dust in there as a snack for later.
Oh God.
And
okay,
so let's talk about the Undertaker.
Idiot time is over now. Idiot time is over now. Let's I kind of want to start off because we're all obviously grew up wrestling fans. From what you can recall, what's the first time you saw the Undertaker?
I saw his premiere. I watched it live. I back then. In the like what was it, 1990? Like
1990.
Yeah, Survivor Series 1990.
So I was like 11, and we were watching every Saturday because it was Saturday main event and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then my buddy's dad was a huge wrestling fan, so he always got like the pay-per-views or I don't even know if they were pay-per-views back then. It might have just been like a Saturday night special, like on NBC or some shit.
Yeah.
Back then, but yeah, we would always watch them. And I remember going, who the fuck is this? Like, oh my God, like who is this crazy purple freak? And it scared me. I was 11, man.
Yeah. That's one thing I've always taken away from that first introduction of him into the WWF or WWE, whatever the fuck you want to call it, was like they you look out, the cameras cut to the kids in the audience. They're like hiding behind their parents and
to
crying.
me that was like the first real gimmick to me, because at that point everyone else was just an extension of themselves or a character. But the Undertaker came on and became this like super villain, right? Like even superhero later on, but he was like the first wrestler to really kind of be like, oh, I've got, well, I guess Hulk Hogan kind of had superpowers, but you know what I mean? Like, was something that didn't feel real. Like Hogan, you still felt real because he was pulling from all of us, But the Undertaker was like an evil comic book character come to life. And I think that's one of the first times you really saw that. And it really opened the doors to things like the Brood and things like that down the road.
Well, and Kane,
of course, Kane, my favorite.
Yeah, he had a very supernatural feel, especially for that time, even going forward. Whenever they would try to bring in these newer, more supernatural ideas they were trying to push, it still didn't live up to what the Undertaker was in terms of how real it felt to see this man in essentially a gravedigger persona that was drawing these forces from the darkness and could just do these crazy supernatural things.
Right, to the point when factions were a big thing, and he created the Ministry with all the supernatural characters.
And I hear a lot of people shit on the Ministry, but
I loved the Ministry. I didn't like the corporate Ministry. Okay,
no, that's my favorite. That's my favorite era.
So, Ministry of Darkness, favorite entrance music.
Yeah, same here.
Favorite entrance music.
That's my favorite interpretation, or whatever you want to call it, of the Undertaker, is when he was leading the Ministry and he was putting people up on his symbol and stuff like that. But you go ahead, Brad. When was your first encounter with the Phenom?
So my first memory of seeing him was like 97, 98 when I was allowed to start watching wrestling. And then the Ministry of Darkness Taker when he hung Stephanie McMahon on the cross. And
I still have dreams about that.
That's what made me go, ooh, I like watching this, and made my mom go, you're not watching this anymore.
Yeah.
I love the Ministry, man. I was sad because my least favorite era, of course, was the American Badass era, which we'll talk about. just because I like the supernatural stuff. So.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I was there. I was at the Judgment Day pay-per-view at Freedom Hall. And was it 2000? Yeah, it was 2000. Freedom Hall Judgment Day. I was there for the premiere of the Undertaker, or the American Badass Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I screamed like a little girl because Undertaker, for much of my childhood, was like my favorite person on the face of the earth. Him and Sting.
Yeah, I mean, it fit him. Don't get me wrong. American Badass totally fits Mark Calloway. No problem at all. But I missed the old school dark.
Oh, I did too.
Undertaker.
Well, and I was thinking about this earlier today. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like they did little vignettes and stuff. Like you didn't know who it was going to be, but like it would. But they would do stuff on and they did like the Freddy Krueger little girls and white jump roping. And remember that?
Oh yeah. I loved it,
and like,
dude.
Yeah, and I figured, okay, we're gonna get Undertaker. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna come out.
Well, and I loved it. The old school because of how big of a fan of the Brood I am, and then of course Midian because Midian is. Nightbreed is the city that they're in, and that's
true. That's right.
Oh my God, so I was like, yes. Oh, I love Midian and Viscera, and when freaking Bradshaw came out as like the Texas version, I was like, get out, give me my Midian back.
Oh, you mean like when he did the whole JBL thing?
Yeah, when he did the JBL thing.
Okay,
I didn't like that at all. I was like, it just felt like a ripoff of $1 Million Man, and then
I did. Yeah, you're kind of right.
He's just like the Texas version.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what did you say yours, Lance? Were your first time?
No, I did not. Honestly, oddly enough, I'm kind of with Brad. It was, God. I remember the first pay-per-view I ever watched was, I believe, Fully Loaded 98. And in the main event, he tagged with Steve Austin to take on Kane and Mankind, and they won the tag title.
Was that the first blood match?
No. That was a singles match between.
Oh,
Steve
okay.
But anyway, not to get too sentimental or whatever. It's just like I had been introduced to Sting, and I'm still a big Sting fan. I love that whole crow gimmick he had, and still kind of has to this day. But
I grew up in the California surfer Sting.
Yeah. But my sister had a boyfriend that
what?
He was big in.
Oh,
yeah, believe it or not. But my sister had a boyfriend who was super into wrestling, so of course she has to be super into wrestling. And all I was hearing about was Steve Austin. And not that I'm not a Stone Cold fan, but but it was all Steve Austin. I happened to one morning. Remember when they had WWF Superstars on Sundays, Sunday mornings, and it was like a recap show?
Yep.
Well, I just stumble upon it, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this fucking Steve Austin guy, see what's the big fucking deal with him. Well, I saw Steve Austin, then I see this dude in all black with this long black hair and these tattoos, beating up Vince McMahon like a total badass. And I see that he has this brother that's disfigured and has to wear this fucking mask. And I fell down the rabbit hole, man. Because it was like every horror movie, comic book had just come to life.
Yep.
It was just, like I said, it ruined me from that day on. But yeah, I was ruined. I was down the rabbit hole.
It's exactly what I said. I said it ruined me for any other wrestler that didn't have superpowers, because then it's like when Superman fights anybody, you're like, how are they gonna win?
Yeah.
And then when Undertaker doesn't win, you're like, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
I always thought that Undertaker let everyone win after that point.
Yeah, just let him. I don't know. It took three tombstones to put out Kane.
My friend Ian also used to tell me that Undertaker fed on dead souls, and that Paul Bearer trapped them in his loose jubba. And he would, when he would go,
here we
"Oh, Undertaker," and he would shake his head. He was
God.
releasing dead souls into Undertaker to bring him back from the dead.
He was releasing the Jubba souls.
He was definitely releasing the Jubba souls.
Two are so fucking stupid.
I don't like any of that. That's awful. Worst writing ever.
I'm telling you, man, Paul Bearer scared me more than Undertaker did. Like, swear to God, I had a chance to go to a WWF show when I was a kid, and I didn't go because we were going to be right along the entrance right there, but I was so fucking scared that Paul Bearer was going to touch me that I didn't go because he freaked me out so much, more than Undertaker.
When was this? What year was this?
Oh God, 91.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, 90 or 91.
See,
I mean, within the first or second year.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Brad, because Brad said he started watching around the same time as me. So I guess me and Brad, you're used to post like makeup Paul Bearer, aren't you?
Oh, like the super whiteout Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm used to. The
he,
one where they put like 12 inches of white paint on him.
Oh, that's the one you're used to. Because see, in '97 he wasn't really doing that. 97, 98.
Well, that's the one I remember at least. I don't. See, that's my thing about my wrestling history is I started kind of watching in like '95, and then didn't get serious about it until like '98. So I had these sporadic moments where I'll remember a certain look, and then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, he looked like this." Then I'm like, "No, that was like years earlier." I'm like, okay. So
that's kind of like me. Okay. That's kind of like me with most of WCW because I was always pretty WWF growing up, but I would watch WCW in the '80s because I loved Sting so much, who I thought was the Ultimate Warrior's brother. Just letting you guys know.
Is he not?
They were tag team partners.
I thought they were brothers because they had the same makeup almost. And then during the NWO years and stuff like that, because they were competing at the same time slot, I would watch with my friends during WWF commercials.
Yeah, so
we would flip over to WCW.
Yeah.
So,
see, that's what confuses me too. Trying to get my timeline of wrestling together is because there was the Monday Night Wars, and I remember flipping back and forth between the two.
Yep. Oh yeah. Or if there was like a really shitty match on WWF, you're like, let's go see what's happening on WCW.
Yeah.
See what's happening on that World Championship Wrestling.
So as we established, he debuted 1990 Survivor Series, and let me see if I can't find it here, because I know he debuted. He was in a Survivor Series like match. Like before,
he pretty much came into the match and just squashed everybody.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. And he was introduced by Ted DiBiase, wasn't it?
It wasn't Ted DiBiase. It was, holy shit! I can see his face in my head right now. He has like, he's like, Brother Love. Was it Brother Love?
Brother Love was his first manager, but you're right.
Yeah, so he premiered at Survivor Series, partnering
on the $1 million team
with Ted DiBiase. Yeah, and he eliminated Coco Beware. That was a good one with the tombstones.
Sure he took out one of my other favorites too, the
Dusty
American
Road.
Dream. That's a Rose, yeah.
Yep,
riding on the end of a lightning bolt.
Yep.
He had quite a few managers in his early days until they finally landed him with Paul Bearer, which I'm trying to remember when exactly that was. He landed with Paul.
Let's see here.
Or Mr. Percy, Mr. Percy,
Percy.
My Undertaker.
Yeah, so in February 1991, the Undertaker switched managers from Brother Love to Paul Bearer.
Okay, so he was with Taker since he's pretty much a day one bitch.
Yeah, so he was with Brother Love from October to February.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, when he was Mean Mark, was it Mean Mark Callis in WCW?
I think it was actually Mean Mark Calloway. I think it was actually his full name.
Was it? But his manager over there when he was in WCW was Teddy Long, the referee.
No,
and
you were right. Me, Mark
former-
Callis, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, is it? Okay, so but his manager was Teddy Long, the referee and the former SmackDown GM.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and don't
God,
forget our fun piece of trivia that the Undertaker's original name was Kane the Undertaker.
Kane the Undertaker. Yeah, he was.
Mhm.
Yep. That's what he was introduced
He
as.
took his brother's name,
He
Yeah.
did. 'Cause
just
he
like we
burned his
did. That's
brother
funny
alive.
because Lance was actually my name when I was born, and
Yeah.
Lord Stefan was his name, but I took it, and so I became Lord Stefan.
That's so weird because
Yeah.
I was actually unnamed for the longest time.
Yeah, you were the original man with no name.
Yeah, and so my parents decided they wanted to keep me.
There's only one original. That's me. There was one Napoleon. There's one me. Sorry, now I'm making Dick Tracy references. I'm sorry.
I am not mad at that at all. I also saw this Halloween front lawn display called Napoleon Blown Apart.
Oh my god!
And it's pieces of Napoleon that go all over your front yard.
Well, that's just exciting. That's just exciting. So anyway,
yeah.
The Undertaker, right?
The Undertaker, yeah.
Yeah, I think Paul Bearer was the mayonnaise that made Undertaker taste better, though, to be honest with you.
That is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
But it makes sense because for so long, his character needed to remain as mythical as possible. Very little information could be divulged about who he was as a person.
Well,
so
that's
mouthpiece.
That's what makes a great manager, right? And that's why Paul Bearer worked so well for Kane when Kane was doing his non-talking shit, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, kind of like what Heyman does for Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard Brock Lesnar speak in maybe like 10 years. I haven't heard him say a word.
He probably me and Brock Lesnar.
I ain't gonna talk bad about Brock Lesnar. I want to sleep comfortably at night and not have to worry about him being under my bed.
He ain't fitting under your bed, bro. Like he ain't fitting under your bed.
But anyway, he actually Taker won the title pretty soon from fucking Hulk Hogan, who was like back then. Hulk Hogan was untouchable.
Oh yeah, but Hogan again. Perfect, because Hulk Hogan is the closest thing you had to a comic book character as a superhero. Like we said, he could pull the chance of his fans and get power from them and come back from nothing. And here is the exact opposite, getting his souls from the neck jubba of Paul Bearer.
The neck jubba souls.
God.
And so perfect. Like
buy the t-shirt, everybody. Buy the t-shirt.
Yes, buy the M.O.D t-shirt. Buy the damn t-shirt at fearscapemedia.com/store.
10% of every M.O.D t-shirt goes to reducing Paul Bearer's deceased net flubber.
Yes,
oh my god!
Spreads.
Wow,
like he's dead, but the jubba still grows. He is the movie The Blob. He was the stand-in.
Oh my god!
Just the neck jubba.
Oh my god!
In all seriousness,
wrist.
R.I.P. William Moody. He was an incredible manager.
Yes.
Undertaker and Kane would not be where they are if it wasn't for him.
His name wasn't Paul Bearer.
No, his name was William Moody.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I mean,
we talked next you're gonna tell me that Lou Gehrig didn't get Lou Gehrig's disease. They just named it after him.
So commercial break?
Yeah,
we don't have commercials.
No, we can't find it. Nobody wants to sponsor this shit. Are you kidding?
Devil's Backyard Barbecue would. Ooh, Devil's Backyard Fire Pit. I bet that'll.
Oh yeah, we always have that.
Yeah.
So always, Undertaker's strength would revive, man. I loved that. It always made me happy. But my favorite thing that Undertaker used to do back in the day was putting all of his defeated opponents in a body bag and carry them to the back. I was always like, what's he gonna do with them once he gets back there?
Yeah.
I was like, is there a process where the soul gets stored into the neck jubba? Like, what happens at that point?
Yeah,
but I always thought that was so creepy, man. Or anytime there was a casket match or anything, I just thought that was so creepy.
Well, I think the first one he did was a body bag match against Ultimate Warrior, and he lost. So Ultimate Warrior drug him out in the body bag. And then after that, when their feud finally ended, it was then him dragging them out.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember I've seen that, the Ultimate Warrior body bag stuff.
Yeah. Because that was his second feud after Superfly Jimmy Snuka, which was like his first big feud. But yeah, then it was Ultimate Warrior again, another close to superhero.
Yeah.
At that point.
I mean, his entire first year was pretty much just squash matches. Just make this man look as invincible.
Oh yeah, I mean
as
that's what you got to do. You're gonna kill jobbers or just have squash matches, and but yeah, like God, putting him in that casket, you know. And when you're a kid, because this is '91, I thought that man was dead. I thought Superfly Ultimate Warrior was dead.
Yeah. That's a pretty intense, even by today's standards, that's a pretty intense.
They set it up. They're like, they set up this whole thing because it's Paul Bearer's funeral parlor and all that stuff. That it's this airtight casket. Yeah, I'm like, he's dead.
I always like the little touch where when they finally do get him out of the casket, and you see like the top of it. Look, you know, it's all ripped. Like the Ultimate Warrior was like, you know, just grasping at it to get out.
He sweated his way out of there.
Yeah.
I always thought every time, like with Ultimate Warrior, as his makeup faded, his power faded.
That's not wrong. there's no evidence to say that's not what happened.
Yep. But yeah, so later on, they did that first ever real body bag challenge, and he lost to Warrior.
He went onto the body bag and got drug out.
Yep, but it doesn't matter because he always comes back from the dead.
and what a great way to give yourself like recovery time. You're the dead man, so if you die and you resurrect, you can take 2 or 3 years off, come back, you're still the dead man. It don't matter.
Yep.
Yeah, it's genius. That's genius.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. But I loved when he defeated Hulk Hogan at Survivor Series because Ric Flair was there, and I already loved me some Ric Flair. And I didn't know this till just reading this, that at that point he became the youngest WWF champion in history.
I didn't know that either. How old was he?
Yeah. I'm not sure. So that would have been 90.
He was in his 20s.
91 or 92. So 65, 75, 75, 85, 85, 95. So yeah, like between 25 and 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the record was only beaten by Yokozuna after, who was, does it say how old Yokozuna was? No, it doesn't say, but Yokozuna became the next youngest after that.
I thought Randy Orton was the youngest champion ever.
Oh, it might be
later on,
now, but I'm saying
it.
after Undertaker, the next youngest was Yokozuna.
Okay.
So, which I thought his ass was like 50.
Oh, Yokozuna.
Yeah, Yokozuna.
He was like baby.
I would have loved to have seen Yokozuna fight Rikishi.
That would have been interesting.
Yokozuna, he was really Samoan, so I wonder if him and Rikishi were related.
Oh, he was Samoan?
Yeah, he was Samoan, and yeah.
I feel deceived.
There's
Vince McMahon to tell me that Kane and Undertaker aren't brothers.
Well, cut to commercial.
Yeah.
Yokozuna's real name is Agatupu Rodney Onohoi.
Onohoi. Yeah. Okay. So he's with the Onohoi family, which is like where The Rock comes from, and like the current big guy right now, Roman Reigns. All those guys come from that bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hella impressive bloodline.
I did not know that. God, Vince McMahon is a motherfucker, ain't he?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're fat and you look yellow. Let's go ahead and make you a fucking sumo wrestler.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
He got away with so much shit like that.
So much.
And he still does.
He still does because of his fucking political connections. Oh.
I mean, he did help Jimmy Superfly Snuka get off with murder, so, you know.
Murder, yeah.
Yeah.
So where are we at with this Undertaker?
He was murdered. Yeah, let's talk about. We don't even need to talk about his wrestling career as much as his storyline. That's what I want to get into. Man.
Oh, dude, the Acolytes. Oh, I fucking love the Acolytes. When you had who was it? Bradshaw and Farouk.
Bradshaw.
Yeah, the Ministry. Yeah, we were talking about that.
And then the Brood came from that.
The Brood, even Mankind for a minute, was part of that. But yeah, don't forget, like, after he lost to Yokozuna, like, in the casket, he disappeared for almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they did the whole they did the whole goofy thing where he like levitates to the top of the arena.
Yes. It says the Undertaker appeared from inside the casket on the video screen, representing his spirit, warning that he would return, and then didn't show back up for 7 months. In reality, this was his first back injury.
Yep.
Yeah.
Many more to come.
Yep.
I thought it was funny. Actually, it wasn't too long ago. I was listening to the Jim Cornette podcast, and he was talking about, because he was, I think he was managing Yokozuna during this time, and he said he thought that this whole thing was so stupid that he stood as far away from the camera as possible while it was happening. Which it is. I mean, when you're a kid, it's awesome. I remember seeing it on video, thinking, "Oh my god!" But yeah, it is. It is pretty goofy.
But like, we have to talk about him not really coming back, but his imposter coming back.
The fake Undertaker, yes.
As we called him, the Fundertaker.
The Fundertaker.
Which I didn't know this again was Calloway's real life cousin, Brian Lee. They were actually related.
Oh, I know that.
Yep, the Underfaker, even though I like Fundertaker better.
I like personally. I like the from Undertaker.
From Undertaker, yeah.
But
this puts us in the real Dead Man era. Like, this is where it kind of like, in some ways, gets less hokey and gets darker, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. More gritty.
Gritty. That's the word I'm looking for, because it's not really
like a DC
Halloween
movie.
Darker. Exactly. But yeah, fucking Underfaker. What a stupid ploy. What a way to bring back the Undertaker. I wish I knew the reality behind that. Like, was that because, knowing Vince, who knows? Was he just trying to fucking replace Undertaker, thinking, oh, well, he's come back in a new body, but then like Calloway was like, hey, no, I'm going to sue you or something,
I don't think it went to that extent. I think it was just, I honestly hear about people that were watching it around this time and the whole Undertaker versus Undertaker angle. And there are some people that are very nostalgic for it. They love it.
I guess I barely remember this because this is when I faded away from wrestling for a while until around 96, 97.
Yeah.
So I was kind of off of it for a couple years until I got back into it in high school and college. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, dude does kind of look like him. I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, I can't really speak to if it could have been a Vince trope of trying to find a replacement in case Mark left. But I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Some of the shady shit he's done over the years.
Well, and he did, remember when Scott Hall and Nash left, he did have was the fake Razor and fake Diesel. Oh my
God, dude. I forgot all about that. The only fake thing that I 100% approve of was Gilbert, because like I said, I was a WWF junkie, so I was not a fan of WCW. And I thought Goldberg was a straight ripoff of Stone Cold. And I still don't really like him. So whenever they did fucking Gilbert, we all lost our shit.
Yeah.
With the fake chants, Gilbert.
He had the little sparkler pyro.
He made a return recently.
Gilbert. Did he really?
Yeah, he came back for a very short stint, like one episode. He was there, and then it was leading up to match between, I think it was Drew McIntyre and Goldberg at WrestleMania, or it might have been Royal Rumble, one of the two. And they brought Gilbert out, and Drew McIntyre like hit him with his finisher and stuff. Like, I'm pinning Goldberg. It's fucking Gilbert.
God, I loved freaking Gilbert, man. Oh, I always loved the like I said, I love the hokier, the better, like Hurricane, anything like that. Our true superhero, okay, and Mighty Molly.
Oh God! Don't let Jim Cornette hear you. And I mean, I agree. I agree with Jim Cornette. Some of this shit, it's too fucking hokey for me. Especially because I was a big fan of Bray Wyatt, and I still am. But some of that shit they had him do as the Fiend. Oh God! It's like, seriously, like you're there insulting your fucking intelligence.
I mean, all the Fiend stuff was Bray anyway. Vince greenlit the character, but most of the creative was Bray.
When like even like him being set on fucking fire and shit, and like being
that was all his shit.
I don't like that.
Well, then to continue on, we've got just him kind of doing well for the next year and a half until he gets freaking hurt, injures his damn orbital bone near his eye. And so he was gone again until Survivor Series in 95. And this is when he came out wearing the Phantom of the Opera thing.
Yes.
Which I do. So this must be right when I started watching again, because I remember him coming back. And it was a big deal, and he had this Phantom of the Opera thing going on, which I liked. I thought it was cool.
That was pretty fucking rad. With that Phantom of the Opera mask, man, that was pretty fucking cool.
Kama was a big motherfucker, so one wrong punch from that dude, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, Kama, and
checking out pictures of it again. God, it was such a cool
It was! Oh, it was so cool. He should have kept it.
Oh, I never even realized how much it looked kind of like Kane's future mask. Interesting.
I wonder if they used that for a future idea.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly, I've heard before that Mick Foley, his Mankind mask, that was going to be for the Undertaker, but they passed on it. The Undertaker didn't like it or something, so they gave it to
somebody. Yeah, I'm just reading that right here. Somebody just said that as well. Yep. Somebody, and because somebody was kind of comparing it as well, and then they were saying that, but and then apparently I'm not the only person to compare it to Kane's mask. So, oh man, there's a because they were gonna have him come back. Oh no, that's just because it was originally going to be called the head case mask, and then they gave it to Mankind instead. Yeah, because they wanted Undertaker to come back as head case, but he didn't want it. Crazy, but that Phantom mask is badass. But it looks so much like Kane's. Like it's obviously they took that mask. Let's rework this and turn it into his brother.
Brother.
Which we haven't even got to yet. Because all this shit, blah blah blah. That's when Mankind makes his debut later on. They get into that feud I loved. I remember watching.
That was an awesome fucking feud, man. Some really good, like some gimmick matches, but some just because Undertaker and Mick Foley are just two of the best fucking performers in the history of the sport. The phenomenal matches. I love the Boiler Room Brawl. The buried alive match where they didn't even realize, hey, it's gonna take forever for Mick Foley to bury this motherfucker. Let's get all the heels out there. People that weren't even part of the fucking angle.
Well, they did the same thing back when he got beat by who were we talking about? Like, who was it? Yokozuna or whatever? Like, all the villainous Whippleman managed wrestlers came out and had to bury him too. Like, you always got to have a crew to take down Undertaker. Like that's So, but Boiler Room Brawl. Good God, man! Buried alive match at In Your House 11. Choke slam. Undertaker choke slam this motherfucker. Like, all right, there's a quick question. Would you like better, Tombstone or choke slam?
I mean, personally, I use the choke slam as my finisher going into the end of my wrestling career, so that's the one I always liked, because you can get a motherfucker high as hell and just bring him down as hard as you want.
Yeah.
What's the one where he walks on the rope? What's that one?
It's called Old School.
Yeah.
He just calls it Old School?
Yeah.
He took it from somebody. What was the wrestler's name? The Spoiler or something?
No, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah. Look that up. Anybody that's listening, I'm probably wrong. I don't know.
I'm looking up the executioner here, Terry Gordy.
Yeah, Terry Gordy. He was part of the Freebirds.
Mm-hmm. Because he, was part of the ones that helped Mankind get out of the. I was looking at Mankind Escaped, and it just merged into one here. But yeah, after being buried alive, dude always shows back up at Survivor Series. You ever notice that?
Yeah,
Like, that's a classic Undertaker move.
Yeah.
And I laugh because it's called Survivor Series. It's like, yep, he survived, y'all.
Yeah.
The son of a bitch did it again.
The son of a bitch.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. So Undertaker returned at Survivor Series, pitting him against Mankind again, but the stipulation was hanging 20 feet above the ring was Paul Bearer in a steel cage.
Well, you just skipped past the entrance of the Undertaker, man. He came down. He came down from the rafters, and he had that fucking cape that looked like fucking bat wings.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of corny, but I still think it's.
Oh, dude, that shit was great. The shit was great until Owen Hart, and then nobody came down from the rafters, man. Not even making a joke. But man, those entrances, when Sting used to do that shit, all that shit was so cool. But obviously they didn't fucking get that shit together very well. But yeah, it's like Undertaker wanted to get his hands on Paul Bearer. I don't remember the storyline why he was pissed off at Paul Bearer, though. I'm sure. Oh, because Bearer betrayed him. That's right, during the Mankind match.
Yeah, and he got with Mankind. Yeah.
Yep. Which was a perfect combo. God,
it was.
Foley as Mankind. Mankind's still my favorite Mick Foley character, and just fucking the two of them together was pure chaos, and it was beautiful.
It was, yeah,
it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Excuse me, I just burped. But this is when we really, of course, this is now we move into the Lord of Darkness era. Right. So we're really starting to get in close to the Ministry. We're about a year or two away from the Ministry era and all of that stuff. So he's wearing more gothic, rebelling persona. Because we're getting in, we're in the Attitude Era now. We're really starting to get into that. He even called himself the Lord of Darkness, which again.
Fucking man! I was
hell yes,
I was so
hell yes he is. He kicked the Executioner's ass in the Armageddon Rules match, and then the feud with Vader, which Vader was just a fat Mankind. No.
Oh man, dude, no!
I'm just kidding.
Vader was a fucking bad. He had some really good. He had some good shit in WCW.
I liked Vader.
Go back and watch some of those Cactus Jack Vader matches. They're fucking brutal.
For sure. I loved old when Vader popped in. I liked Vader already up at that point. So we've got that feud. Undertaker lost after Bearer, of course, interfered again on behalf of his new protege, which was the Executioner, I guess. Or no, it was Vader. Sorry. Then blah, 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 blah. Let's see, because this is where we start getting into the lead up to Kane, I think. Yeah. So now we start getting into the lead up to Kane because Paul Bearer shows up in 97 saying, hey, I know your deepest, darkest secret. And if you don't bring me back, I'm going to introduce you to the world. And so, like I said, dark secret, right? So we find out.
Kane's alive, dead man. Kane's alive.
Right. That the dark secret is that he fucking burned his house down, killed his mom and dad, and supposedly killed his brother Kane.
It was a funeral home. It was a funeral home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't forget,
but guess what, man? Kane, my favorite wrestler, is alive.
Kane's alive, dead man.
Man, like I never thought I'd like someone. I've never thought I'd like someone more than freaking Undertaker, but it's because I don't really like the color purple very much. And so like red and black are like two colors I love to see together. And I was like, yeah, Kane.
Dude, I mean, what a fucking entrance. Set up by Jim Cornette, by the way. The Hell in the Cell was Jim Cornette's idea, by the way. Because he was thinking of war games.
Way to turn the dentist into somebody.
I know. Yeah, Dr. Isaac Yankum. Yeah, no shit. But him ripping the fucking... I've always loved fucking Kane's entrance music too. You want to talk Phantom of the Opera, man?
Mm-hmm.
Starts off with that organ. God.
Yep.
I always tell people, I say, you want to know what's going on inside my head? Listen to Kane's entrance music.
Dude, it's like at the same time, it's like I wonder how this conversation went though, because obviously here's an opportunity to make Undertaker better. Right. It's like here in the mind of a writer, it's like, and so as Undertaker, you gotta be kind of pissed about it. Right. Because here's the possibility of this guy doing your gimmick, but kind of better because now he's a pyromaniac.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, because I know you've listened to his podcast as well, Bruce, but Bruce Pritchard, he come up with the Kane character or story or whatever you want to call it?
I can't recall if he's the one that came up with it, but I know he's the one that saved Glenn from becoming just a shitty fucking character. Because just before this, his last known character on WWF was the fake Diesel.
Oh, so
yeah.
The fake Diesel. It was after Dr. Isaac Yankum?
See, I can't recall off the top of my head, but it was either Dr. Isaac Yankum and then Fake Diesel, or it was Fake Diesel then Dr. Isaac Yankum. But I feel like it was Yankum and then Diesel and then Kane.
Yeah,
because the
you're
Yankum
probably
character
right.
nobody cared about.
No. Jerry Lawler's evil dentist.
He's had so many names: the Angus King, the Bruiser Mastino, the Christmas Creature, Diesel, Doomsday, Glenn Jacobs, Mayor
Mike
Glenn
Unabomb.
Jacobs.
Unabomb. Yeah.
Sid Powers, Spartacus.
Yeah.
Unabomb.
Oh Lord.
They ran out of ideas somewhere. They're like, we're just gonna call you a Unabomb. No particular reason.
Yeah, I don't know shit. We're not cashing in on anything.
The best is that he fought Undertaker, before. As other
he
characters,
did. Yeah. That's so weird too, because when he came to WWE finally back in, God, when was this? It had to be 2014, 2015.
That sounds right.
Yeah. That was the big dream match. Undertaker and Sting, because they were both sort of those dark Avengers or whatever you want to call them. But oddly enough, they had actually fought each other back in WCW, back when Sting was Surfer Sting and Undertaker was Mean Mark Callis.
He was Fake Diesel after Yankum. He was Fake Diesel from September 96 till Royal Rumble in 97. And then for like half a minute, he was Doomsday. And then he came, then he premiered in April 1997 as Kane. So.
Was he Doomsday when it was Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Do you have that at your disposal? I don't want to dwell upon it too much.
He was Doomsday during United States Wrestling Association.
I don't know, because I know Jim Cornette worked with them a lot around then. But anyway, so yeah, Kane shows up, bad blood. Go on, Brad.
Oh no, I was just picking us back up, just saying. So here we are, bad blood in your house, first ever Hell in a Cell match, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. Lights go out, that infamous pyro hits, that music plays. We got motherfucking Kane in the house.
Oh my God, and it had been built up for so long. You were like, oh man.
Yeah.
As he said, from April to October, it was being teased.
Yeah, it took it was back then.
Holy shit, I didn't know it was that long.
Well, back then you didn't have investors because it wasn't a public company. So they could just build these stories until you get the payoff. But now because it's a public company, investors want turnaround quick. So these storylines resolve themselves in like 4 to 6 weeks now. So
people suck. That's why I don't watch. That's why I don't watch anymore, man. I like those year-long storylines, dude.
People they didn't have such short attention spans, you know. That's why you can't really. I'm gonna go on a Jim Cornette tirade. So just you all continue.
Go for it.
No, I mean, it just Brad knows what I'm talking about. It's just, you know. Everything has to be so hot-shotted now. Everything has to be, you know,
it has to be
fucking
clear.
high spots and flips and, you know, and not that I mean, Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest wrestlers ever. He was all about the acrobatics and stuff. But Rey was still telling you a fucking story. Rey still knows when to fucking do it. Some of these people now, all they are is fucking hot spots and, you know,
they're all YouTube stars. That's why I can't stand wrestling nowadays, because it's like watching an entire 2 hours of YouTube stars. Yeah. And I don't give a fuck. I want my gimmicks back. My good, goofy, fucking over the top, fucking fantastical gimmicks. That's what I want, and that's why I can't watch anymore.
I just want
they all just have first and last names now. Nobody even has like a moniker.
Yeah.
It's like, get out of here.
I just want good fucking matches, you know. That's all I wanted. And you don't have to go through a fucking 3 flaming fucking tables to amuse me. Fucking tell a story, make me engaged. You know, you know, it's like we're all improvisers. We know that, and sometimes we do it. We go for the low hanging fruit. We go for the dick or fart joke. You know what I mean? But what really engages the audience, what really, you know, what really like satisfies me is how can we tell these people a story on the spur of a moment? Make it funny, let's be humorous, but let's engage them at the same time. If that makes any sense, or am I talking out of my ass?
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And, you know, Vince forgets that his audience has not watched 50 years of wrestling. So you don't have to continue to build and build on top of everything. You can still use old school techniques and people will be in awe still. You know, like just like you said, it doesn't have to be 3 flaming fucking tables. It can just be a table. We're still pumped. Yeah. To me, you don't even have to bring in the table, right? You know, and it's like I said. I remember I was taught because I don't even know what we were. I mean, we were obviously talking about wrestling, but I don't know in what context. I was telling my sister the other day because you know, like I stated earlier, you know, with Bray Wyatt. I still love Bray Wyatt, but you know, motherfucker gets set on fire, stands up and walks like he's Jason fucking Voorhees. You know what I mean?
No, I get you. I know where you're coming from on that.
And there's no reason for it. That's the thing. It's like if Kane got set on fire and kept walking, you'd be like, oh, that's part of his character. Like, yes.
But see, here's the thing, and here's my point. Because, which, I don't know, maybe I'm skipping ahead, but Kane and Undertaker did the whole Inferno match where the ring was surrounded by fire. When Kane got set on fire, he freaked the fuck out. You were like, oh my God. yeah, this man is a beast. This man is a monster, but he's still somehow vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Well, and that was because it was part of his character. I mean, he, you know, as much as he loved fire, it's what made him who he was. So it's his biggest fear.
Yeah.
Like, which was super rude to do in an Inferno match. I mean, super rude.
Yeah. If we're going to be politically correct here.
I mean, the guy's got a fear of fire. Okay.
How are you gonna set him on fire? He has a fear of fire. Why set him on fire? Come on, you're just overdoing it here.
I mean, it'd be like having an orbital bone match with Undertaker. There's just orbital bones all around the.
Asking Jason Voorhees to be part of the swim team. You just don't do it. You know.
Asking freaking Angela from Sleepaway Camp to be a part of the boys team.
Yeah. Or asking Michael Myers to be part of Big Brothers, you know, the Big Brothers program, you know? You just don't do it. Asking Freddy Krueger to be, you know, a Boy Scout or something.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You do. But yeah, I loved this era where there was this just constant storyline between Kane and Undertaker. And it's probably one of my favorite things. I guess, you know, being a sibling that has a brother too, you're like, I can relate to this, right? I mean, not really, but that's what you tell yourself. You know, and just seeing these two beasts. I mean, at that point, I mean, they're two of the biggest motherfuckers in WWF, man, and they're essentially mirror images of each other, and just God, man, like going crazy, like, and then you know, like, what's that triple threat match where Kane and Undertaker weren't allowed to pin each other?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that. Judgment Day.
Oh yeah, with Steve Austin.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's where you have the double choke slam like that happened.
Yeah. I remember watching that pay-per-view. I was like 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being very fucking conflicted because I liked Undertaker, but I liked Kane. You know. And I like Steve Austin. I do. And I like Steve Austin, but I like Kane and Undertaker a little better. You know what I mean?
Well, and, you know, McMahon vacated the title. Like, was like, nope.
Yeah.
And so then you get your Undertaker and Kane going against each other for the title. They made Steve Austin the ref, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Sometimes that writing was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah.
And just, you know, just so good. And you're like, who's Paul Bearer going to stick up for? And, you know, and that's, you see Bearer then turn on Kane and takes Undertaker's side, hits Kane with the chair. It's like, oh my God, man. And that's when we see Undertaker turn heel for the first time.
I remember
like
it.
1992. So like he was always the dark anti-hero, but he didn't turn evil. And I remember this too, man, because we were like, oh my God, he's a bad guy again.
Yeah, he came out the next night on Raw and said, Kane, I started that fire. I remember it, man, because I remember it being
reconciled with Bearer and said they were going to unleash their Ministry of Darkness on the WWF, man. And that's when we get the Ministry of Darkness, man, which we have already talked about how much we love. Undertaker, man, like just goes crazy at this point, man. Like Rock, because the Rock's starting to get some fame really good at this point, you know. Buried Alive match, Undertaker and Austin. And Undertaker, of course, tries to embalm Steve Austin alive.
Yes.
And tried to have Kane committed to a mental hospital.
Yeah.
And that's when they chained Austin up to the Undertaker symbol, raising it up into the arena. Like, oh my God, man. I mean, what a great time, the Ministry of Darkness.
Yeah.
You know, like we said, that's when we start to see some of these like bottom tier folks like the Brood. So you got Christian and Edge and Gangrel, who the vampire trio. And, you know, which is a perfect combo. to bring in. The acolytes, of course, we got Farouk and Bradshaw, a.k.a. Midian and Viscera. And even though, if you'll recall, Undertaker didn't wrestle a whole lot because he was having, like, in real life, like a hip replacement. So he was basically just running the show.
I'm going to bring this up, too, because this is one of my, like, big personal wrestling moments. Because I attended my first WWE event around this time. He had come back. He wasn't wrestling, but he was doing the, like, the whole, you know, wearing the cloak and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was still a big fan of his, you know, even bigger then because I loved that. I am the Lord of Dark. Yeah, man, hook, line, and sinker. And I remember going to a house show around this time. And, you know, we got the program and you know, I think the main event was The Rock and Kane against Mankind and Steve Austin. It's a tag match. But
Rock and Sock Connection.
Yeah, well, not at that time, but
I know the house shows were always where they tested those things.
Yeah, but I guess Taker was just like, you know, knocking some of the ring rust off or whatever. But because I remember they said, and on the program it said like the Undertaker or the Ministry of Darkness, and I thought, well, some of the guys from the Ministry are gonna fight, and Undertaker's just gonna be kind of in their corner, and they're gonna take on the big boss man, you know, because I was like, Undertaker isn't wrestling now. Lo and behold, though, dude, that bell goes off, that gong, dude, out comes the Undertaker, and it just, dude, I screamed like I was 9 or 10. Screamed like a 9 or 10-year-old girl. I mean, that was just awesome. Those are two of the biggest like live wrestling moments of my life. Seeing him for the first time live and seeing Shawn Michaels perform for the first time live. I mean, it was just sorry, I know this. I just had to throw that in there.
No, because that's, you know, this was the big faction thing was happening because you got the Ministry versus the Corporation, which dominated the storyline, you know, and Big Boss Man and Undertaker had that feud. That was kind of Undertaker's slide back into wrestling.
Yeah.
They had a big Hell in a Cell match
where he hung, he hangs the fucking Boss Man.
Yep, and Ken Shamrock was there, and all that stuff showing up. But yeah, then, which was what we talked about earlier, was when Undertaker kidnapped Stephanie McMahon.
Where to, Stephanie?
Just all that crazy stuff, man, until we find out that Undertaker's higher power that he's been like his real Lord of Darkness turned out to be Vince McMahon the whole time.
It was me all along, Austin.
Oh, how McMahon loved to insert himself into everything. But it worked back then though, man. Like, because especially Attitude Era was all about saying fuck you to the man.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
so,
that was
the
biggest heel. The biggest heel in wrestling at the time was Vince McMahon. You know.
And he never really stopped being a heel.
No. And he tried to do it. You could tell he tried to be that evil Vince McMahon character in order to push some of the people that he wanted to be the next Stone Cold, the next Rock or whatever. And it just didn't work. It just didn't work as well, you know.
But yeah. Like, you know, then we got Big Show and him, the Unholy Alliance. Got all that fun stuff, man. And then he gets hurt again, man. Like at another SummerSlam, like tears his groin, so he's limping in several matches. Like I can't believe the guy even continued wrestling after that. So he ordered Big Show to fight all of his battles for him so he could stay in the storyline. But this was also the beginning of his transition to the biker character. Slowly started happening. Wasn't there yet. But this, according to Kevin Nash Kevin Nash says that the reason he moved to the biker character was a way to enter WCW with a non-trademarked persona. So
I've heard this and I do not believe it. I don't believe it.
That's what he says, that he was going to go to WCW, but it didn't happen.
No, he's too loyal to Vince. Brad, back me up here.
Kevin Nash is well known for making up these stories to try to put over like his own agendas. I've heard Kevin Nash in like conversations I've had with him where he's trying to tell you how, you know, WCW was going to buy WWE if it wasn't for like this, that, and another. It's like, you can't trust a lot of the things Kevin Nash says, and that's definitely not one of them, because in many interviews, whoever you talk to when it comes to Taker, that comes up. That moment in particular comes up, and it's always, no, Taker's a Vince guy.
Yeah.
He's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And even after retiring, he still signed a clause with Vince.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, he won't go to other promotions and do book signings. Like, he'll only do signings for WWE. And he's getting paid like $5 million or something to do it, but still.
Yeah, he's a Vince guy through and through.
Yeah. Well, he re-signed with WWE or WWF but changed his character and came as this American badass, which you won't even need to spend time on because it's not horrific. You know, I don't even
No.
You know, I mean, it was a cool time. Like I said, it fits Mark Calloway really well. You know, I just love Undertaker.
Yeah.
And so it was always just weird seeing him called Undertaker, but he wasn't Undertaker. It was weird. But then, like, you know, a few years later, then he becomes Big Evil.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much American Badass with a little less motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, American Badass as a heel is essentially all that.
Yeah. With a hint of Undertaker.
Yeah. Hint. Because then we split, like around this time is when we split when we get SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
And so things just start getting, and this is when I kind of start falling away again. Once like I was super hyped when SmackDown first showed up, because man, it was awesome for a while, getting 2 nights a week. Oh my God, there was good shit going on. And then it just kind of, I don't know, it got weird. It got to where they would put people that they wanted to do certain things on one versus just putting good folks and creating good storylines. So, meh.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we come to the end of his Big Evil era.
Yeah.
2003. He's just coming off a thing with Brock Lesnar, and now him and Kane are going at it again.
Yeah.
And then at Survivor Series, Kane buries Undertaker alive.
Yes.
And it's supposedly dead and buried forever until one of the greatest setup and returns that I've personally ever seen. Like, I get goosebumps even going back and watching it. So from about Armageddon until around WrestleMania, I think it was like WrestleMania 2004, these little vignettes kept happening. Like, Kane was in the Royal Rumble and he was eliminating people left and right. And then, like, the lights go out and like the screen gets kind of dark and it starts like these cryptic chants and shit.
I did see some of that.
And then at WrestleMania 20, Kane goes to the ring because he's been told that his brother's back. So he goes to the ring and waiting for his brother's return. And then when the music hits and Undertaker's in the ring with him, Kane does this whole thing where he's like closing his eyes. He's like, "You're not real. You're not real. You're not real. You're not real." And then quick squash match, but the original dead man is not
right.
alive.
Yeah, Booker T like ends up getting to it, like beats Kane or whatever, something really silly. I remember that. So, but yeah, and even Paul Bearer is back.
Here's another. Can I throw in another little personal story right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was about a week or two till WrestleMania. And Undertaker, do you all remember the Carl Casperado show? Yeah. Undertaker was doing a signing at that year's Carl Casperado show.
Oh, yeah. In Louisville, I remember.
Yes. And me and one of my friends from high school went, and Undertaker, like the line was fucking. It was. There's no telling how long it was, but Taker stayed there. He signed every autograph, from what I've heard. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm like 13 or 14, and I got I don't know if we touched upon this, but Undertaker there for a while. He had a series of comic books
Mm-hmm. We've loosely talked about it because we wanted to talk about the whole storyline of Kane and Undertaker and Paul Bearer.
Well, I had one of the issues. That's what I had to sign. So, you know, me and my friend, we wait forever. We wait forever. Finally, we get up there. My friend, he's first, gets his stuff signed, walks on. I get up there, put my comic book down. I'm starstruck. You know, Taker's like, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. He signs my comic.
How you doing, kid?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah, but he signs my comic while he's signing it. Well, he signs it and he kind of passes it back to me. And I go, and I'm notorious for, like, if there's anybody that I kind of idolize or put up on a pedestal, I always say something stupid to them.
Dude, you would be surprised. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I get tongue-tied.
Yeah, but I'm like 13 or 14. Passes back the comic book to me. I look him right in the eye, and I give him a thumbs up. And I go, no, wait. And I go, can you see me, Brad?
Yeah.
I go, kick Kane's ass. Yeah, I'm not lying. He gives me this look. He goes, and I literally
side glance.
I literally I'm like,
I'm gonna go now.
I'm like, oh my god. He was like, what the hell are you on, son?
Jesus.
It was great. Yeah, but that was my encounter with the Undertaker. I came out alive.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll leave it, at this point, this is where my knowledge is done. Like this is where I kind of stopped watching wrestling. I remember him coming back as the original Dead Man again, even though it was kind of like a hybrid, type thing. But yeah, I'll let you guys talk about the rest, because I don't know what the hell happens after this.
Well,
I mean, pretty much from here, he just goes on essentially an incredible full-time final run.
Yeah.
Winning championships, having amazing matches.
Yeah, those two he had with Shawn, man, those are two of my favorite matches of all time. Those two WrestleMania
Yeah, which goes
matches.
into something we haven't really covered yet, is his WrestleMania streak.
Yeah, true.
Which was something unmatched. He went 21-0 before finally losing to Brock Lesnar in 2014.
Yeah.
And then even after that, he had 5 more WrestleMania matches before finally retiring. 25-2 at WrestleMania. It'll probably never be beaten, but that just shows like the longevity of this guy and what he was able to accomplish.
You really think? You don't think it'll be beaten?
It'll take a lot, because too many of the guys now they use this hybrid high flying style that doesn't number on your body. You got a point.
Okay. Yep.
You're right. He stayed very old school, very slow, methodical.
I mean, he did. Like, anytime I did kind of tune in, he felt super out of place. Just like anytime any of those older guys showed back up, they always just felt out of place. Except for Ric Flair. Ric Flair was the OG YouTube star.
He finally retired in I think it was June or July of 2020. He officially hung up for good. He's over with. But there's so many times before that. There was a time in 2019. He lost. Which one was it he lost? I'm trying to remember which WrestleMania it was.
Was it
2019? Would have been 30. 2019 would have been 35.
Did he lose?
35.
It was.
Did he lose to Reigns?
It's 2017. Yeah, it was when he lost to Reigns. He when the match was over, he folded up his stuff, put it in the middle of the ring, put his hat on top, and took his gloves off, and that was supposed to be his retirement.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember buying a "Thank You Taker" shirt after that WrestleMania. And I threw it away because he came back the next year.
Yep, he came back the next year because he wasn't satisfied with his final match
in real life, or as a storyline.
In real life,
as Mark, he was not satisfied because Reigns messed up a lot in the match. He messed up a lot. So his final match was in 2020 against AJ Styles, and it was like a buried alive type. They called it the boneyard.
Yeah,
match.
the boneyard
Man,
match.
I think his final match should have been
It was
against Kane.
amazing.
Like, it should have been against somebody old school. You know what I mean? Like, but I understand that's how
Kane wouldn't have been able to give him what he wanted.
I know, but I mean, like, for the fans, but I mean, that's for me because I stopped watching. So I'm like, I don't like AJ Styles. I didn't like any of that shit. So it was like, yippee, you know.
Well, when Sting came to WWE, man, I thought that was a wasted opportunity because, and I mean, Brad, I'm sure you've heard this, but they had Sting go up against Triple H. And it was a complete wasted opportunity. He shouldn't have gone up against Triple H. He should have gone up against Taker. We should have had that dream match. Yes, maybe neither one of them were at their peak, you know, physically or whatever, but we would have had it. They were still, I don't know.
Well, Taker didn't want the match.
Really? I don't.
He's expressed that several times. He had no interest in it, because he felt like at his age, there's nostalgia to the match, but he couldn't deliver the Kane or the Undertaker and Sting match that he felt like fans deserved.
Oh, I've never heard that. I've never heard this take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he said that in a it was a series on WWE Network called The Last Ride.
The Last Ride
He talks about
documentary.
Yeah.
That's
he if he was at his peak, he would have done it, but he said it wouldn't have been what they wanted.
Yeah. And so he finally wraps up, though, they said Survivor Series again.
Yeah.
Goes out to the middle of that ring, does his pose, gets his 10-bell salute, says, "My time has come to let the Undertaker rest in peace," which was beautiful. And then that fucking hologram of Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
Oh,
like 3D Jubba coming at you, man.
Oh, Jesus.
3D Jubba coming at you, seeing the soul.
Well, that was one of my picks for our Best in Horror 2020 was the Undertaker's retirement.
Jubba's?
No, god damn! Buy the T-shirt. Buy the T-shirt.
Buy the T-shirt.
But no.
20% of proceeds go to the Jubba
my
Jubba
god!
Foundation.
Okay, we about done here.
Some people have real cottage cheese issues, man.
Oh my god, are
Real
we done?
cottage cheese
I want to go
issues.
home.
But yeah, so we can talk about his legacy. Obviously, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
All time.
He is without question. Even Jim Ross called him the greatest big man in the history of wrestling. There's no greater wrestling star ever than the Undertaker, and I will 100% agree with that. Guinness Book of World Records gives him the most consecutive victories, of course. Journalist Tom Forty called him the world's greatest sportsman. Even today, he still has records that aren't broken. That 12-minute match between him and Stone Cold is the highest rated segment in wrestling history.
Yeah. Where I think Austin won the title.
So, I mean, it's just, you know, what an amazing man. I'm glad he's able to retire. I hope he doesn't come back like freaking, what's his name? The army guy. What's the fucking G.I. Joe guy?
Oh, Sergeant Slaughter.
How his old ass kept coming back. I don't want to see that. I'm good.
You know, one of my most prized wrestling like treasures. I have a signed Undertaker playing card that they had in like the early 2000s. I have a signed one from him.
That's cool.
It's I know I showed you a lot of the stuff the other day.
Yeah.
That's one I keep hidden and safe because it's very, very important.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, what a great character. And obviously, you know, they tried to replicate it with the Undertaker, and even kind of tried to replicate it with Kane, which is great. I mean, like I said, Kane's my favorite wrestler, but you know, I still think Undertaker's the better wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, I think his character was better, and just everything about him was amazing, and how everything he like was such a, if you look at it, such a hokey character. If you really, especially looking at it with 2021 eyes, like what a hokey character, and to still be able to pull it off all those years later, like, beautiful.
It's almost like, god damn, I'm gonna get some hate for this. It's almost like the little gimmick that could. You know what I mean? It's just like if you put that on anybody else, but listen, we've been saying the Undertaker. That shows the genius of Mark Calloway. Mark Calloway knew how to.
Well, that's what I said. He evolved as much as like I liked original Undertaker.
Yeah,
American Badass Undertaker was great too. I still cheered the shit out of him, even though I wanted dark, spooky Undertaker. The man was a great character actor, so to speak. But you really come to find out, I mean, he played a lot of himself into it. I mean, you know, like Stone Cold, like how those are the great characters, the ones that find a way to kind of bring their own personality and really make it large. Like that's when you know you're a good wrestler, because you can take your own personality and make it worth watching.
Turn up to 11.
Yep. I mean, you know, Mick Foley is another one of those. Yeah. You know.
Oh my God. Yeah. So really, I don't think we could say anything else. Man, you don't need three assholes on a podcast telling you how great the Undertaker is. No. I hope you listen anyway, and I hope you buy the T-shirt. But
yes, I hope you buy the T-shirt as well, because we are in the M.O.D era, my friends. So,
we are. We're taking over. We're taking over. Bloody Disgusting, Arrow in the Head, all those other horror sites. You better watch your back, because here we are.
Kayfabe.com. Look out.
We're here. We are here to stay.
And with that, dear friends, we come to the end of another delightfully disturbing episode of Misters of the Dark. Boom! As always, thank you for listening. Thank you to the Fearscape Media Network, and thank you to Corey Adams and Ashley Jones Adams from Nothing Wrong for our delightful musical theme.
I gotta say, boys, it's been a real honor having me on the show, not only to cover the career of the one and only Phenom, but to help you in leading this.
The M.O.D. era of podcasting.
Oh, yeah!
Well, of course, Brad.
Yeah, man, you know, we knew there was no better candidate than you, Zilla.
And I'm not gonna lie, I truly am humbled, but I gotta admit, I just can't help but think of things that have happened in the past that would enable me from being a more assertive mister.
Come now, Brad. We're all civilized misters.
Yeah, of course we are. I mean, we just let the past stay in the past, Brad.
No. You all know as well as I do that when you're MOD, you're MOD till death.
You guys wrote that.
Okay, Bradley. We can talk about this. Please stop brandishing that axe.
Nah, I think I'm gonna have to help you boys knock off a little rape rust.
Lance, run! Oh God. Okay, everyone, before we go, I'll leave you with this, dear friends. Remember, buy the T-shirt. Good night.
This is for the Killer Clowns episode, you bastards! Give me that leg. Give me it. Lance has a third leg.
And don't forget, you can buy your M.O.D. T-shirt at fearscapemedia.com/store.